Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 4 of our casting kickoff series. Again, the goal of this is to get everyone comfortable with Kasten and to some extent with Kubernetes. That's a big topic before Kasten 8.5 drops with all its new fantastic features. Okay, so this is an everyday series to at least get you up to speed. I had some people ask me about this. Yes, you can do it. There's time during the holidays, and when Kasten 8.5 comes out, you'll be ready to use all the fantastic new features. So what have we done so far? So far, I'll remind you, we installed Rocky Linux as our VM. We installed K3s as our distribution, Kubernetes distribution. Yesterday, in the last series, we installed Kubevirt, which is KVM in Kubernetes. So that's what you use to create virtual machines. And we installed also Kubevirt Manager so that you have a nice little UI, which I'll show you in a second in the background. Today, we're going to have a lot of fun because we're going to try to create our first VM. And I say try because you never know what's going to happen. No, it should work. But the only difference here is the operating system. I normally use Ubuntu. This is Rocky. There have been some surprises so far, but little ones. And these were more to do with default applications that weren't installed by default, put it that way. So I just installed them. No big deal. Okay, so let's head over to our setup. So remember, we have here kget nodes. We have a single node K3s cluster. Get ns for namespace. We have all these namespaces. Now, I created already today a namespace called VMs because that's where I want to create my VMs. I want everything to be organized. And that was just a command K create ns VMs. Now I'm going to run it because it'll just say it already exists, but just to let you know I've done that. So what's this? What are we going to do to create a VM? So one of the big differences when we created VM and we're booting it from an ISO is the upload. In other hypervisors, you normally just find something in the UI, press upload, and then upload. This is a bit different, especially in the command line. For this, we have to leverage this application or this operator called CDI, Containerized Data Importer or something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but CDI. And it's going to import the ISO into a persistent volume claim. So it's going to create a persistent volume claim in Kubernetes. Now, what's important about that to remember is that you need to import that into the namespace where you're going to boot from it. Okay, so if I import that just with nothing, it'll go into the default namespace. And then if I try to create a VM in, let's say, the VM's namespace, guess what? It won't find it. And guess what? That happened to me the first time. I figured it out pretty quickly, but nevertheless. Okay, so this is the only thing. It's not super complicated, and other distributions will have other ways of doing this. In fact, you could probably even do this, I think, through Kubevirt Manager, but we want to do it the command line way because it's really fun and it looks cool, right? Right. So to do this, first of all, this CDI, you have to be able to access it somehow so that you can pipe this ISO through it. Now, you could create an ingress or have it permanently available if you're doing this all the time. I'm only going to do this once, so I'm going to port forward, okay? And to do that, I'm going to have to install again, not install, but log in to a second window so that I'll have the port forwarding going, and then I can upload the ISO. Now, let's do that first. So I'm going to head over and get this ready. Okay. Let me just double check, see what we're doing here. Alrighty, we're all ready and we will start. So first of all, I'm going to use virtctl. So we installed that yesterday as well. But I need to port forward first to get that CDI listening so I can pipe that ISO in there. You see, where's the ISO? It's here, Lubuntu 24.iso. It's something I renamed just to make it shorter, but it's Lubuntu 2.4 or whatever, or 24. Doesn't matter. That's the ISO. Okay, so here comes the first command, Very simple. The first command is we want to port forward. So I'm going to copy and paste this so you can see it. So that's going to port forward to the CDI upload proxy. Okay, so I'm going to push that forward, and there it's listening. Great. And then I'm going to run this long command. And don't worry, this will all be in the final presentation, the final post. Will have all the commands in it. I'm making you wait till the end, so you have to follow the video. Okay, let's go over to my other window, and let's give this a shot. So what is it going to do? Let's go through the command, just so we know. So virtctl, we're using virtctl for the first time. Image upload PVC Lubuntu. That's what I'm going to call it, Lubuntu. In fact, I could call it Lubuntu ISO, but I've left it that way. Fine. Where is it going to go? Into the namespace VMs. Very important, because otherwise it's going to go in default namespace, and when I try to create my VM, it's not going to find it. Okay, image path. So it's in the same directory here, and it's Lubuntu 24.iso. Fine. Upload proxy. So it's going to be localhost port 32567, because that's where we are port forwarding. See? Okay. Okay. Size 4 gigabytes. I've never really understood that, because what if it's like 3.5? But anyways. Read, write once, fine. Force bind, insecure, certificates, and then wait 120. Fine. Let's try that. So here you have to wait. And the first couple times I did this, I was really impatient, going, what's happening? But it should, in a few seconds, start to give you a progress line and show it being uploaded. So wait for that patiently. The first time I did this, I did have a couple of issues and something went wrong. So hopefully that won't happen here. Again, we're all in the Kubernetes area here now. So I don't really foresee any problems with Rocky, unless the firewall. Oh, that's actually a good point. Well, we'll see. If it doesn't start, we'll know. Because in default Ubuntu, the firewall is not turned on. And so I'm wondering if this is going to work. I'll pause this now. We don't want to sit here watching the screen for 20 hours. Okay, I suspect I was right, because we got a client rate limiter wait return error, whatever, would exceed context deadline. So let's try this. We're going to add this to the firewall. Invalid zone loopback. Okay, it's interesting, because this is something I looked up, and one side said that you shouldn't have to do this on the loopback. On the other side, another site said you had to. So this is our first little problem. Isn't this fun? Okay, so this is most likely my adding a zone loopback there. Seems not to be needed. Let's do that. And then I think we need to reload as well. Don't forget to do that because it won't be loaded. And if it's not loaded, it's not going to work. Okay, so we've done that. Let's see if I was right or not. We're going to try this again. And if it times out again, it's going to be something else. And I don't know what the default is to wait for this to upload. I seem to remember it takes a few seconds, but we will see. This could be something different. We'll give it a few minutes, and then we'll jump back into troubleshooting. Okay, we're still waiting. All right, so now there could be another issue. You may or not may know, you may or may not know that Rocky Linux also uses SE Linux, which is a security enhanced. And so that could be a problem. So I've opened yet another window just to fool around here, and I've checked, and it is enforcing, okay? So apparently that could also be blocking us. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that to not enforce. Okay? I got to put my password in. And let's check it. So permissive. It's permissive now. So we'll try this now. We know the port's open. We know that's the case. Now I could also disable the firewall, but I want to find out what the problem is. And if I do both those things, this is a classic thing with troubleshooting. Don't change 5 things and then try something and it works. You're all joyful. And then 2 weeks later, it happens again. And what did you change? You've got to determine what was the issue. So it might have been SE Linux. So let's take a look. Unfortunately, as you know, with troubleshooting, you have to sit and wait around. Like you generally, a lot of these things don't just start off right away. And so inevitably, you're going to have to sit and wait for a few minutes. It still could be the firewall, I guess. But we will see. So we'll wait here and see. Again, I did not have this problem on Ubuntu. So this is something specific to Rocky. Okay, I suspect this is going to work. It should have started already. So let's kill this. I hate to do this, but, and let's try disabling the firewall. Also, let me just see the upload local host. Someone said try the IP address. But that still would be firewall related, and I want to determine if it is in fact the firewall. So very simple. We use system CTL and stop firewall D. I'm just gonna copy and paste command for the fun of it. Okay, so firewall is not working. Let's just double check status. Okay, yeah, and I should probably remove that that one rule I put in there. Because that was silly, that invalid zone. There is no loop back zone. So I'm going to remove that. We don't like having errors. Okay, let's just see. I'm going to try to remove this because that was a mistake. Okay, firewall's not running. We got to make it run to be able to, I get it. All right, so let's start it off again. I just want to be nice and clean. So let's remove that. Yes, fine. Hopefully that worked. Well, there is no zone loopback. So anyways, let's stop the firewall and we'll retry. Okay, and we'll check the status. Okay, that's still in there. I'll have to figure out that later. No big deal. It's not running. So let's try to upload again. This time, if it doesn't work, that means it's something else. Off we go. Was it the firewall or not? We should find out soon. And if it wasn't the firewall, that means back to the drawing board and figuring out why this doesn't work on Rocky, but it worked on Ubuntu. Okay, so this is really interesting, and it might have been my mistake. This is nothing to do with Rocky Linux, but this is a single node K3S cluster and a single node with Longhorn storage. Longhorn, by default, wants to create 3 replicas. And so you generally change that. I thought I'd done that. Maybe I hadn't. So it's trying to create 3 replicas. It can't because there's only 1 node. And so it's degraded state. And I need to change that. So what we can do is change the replica count using these patch commands. I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay. That's been patched. Okay. We can also permanently change it. These commands you shouldn't need. What I should have done, and I thought I had done, which maybe I hadn't done, was create a values file. I thought we had done that for Longhorn. Yes, we have. Okay, we did do that. And default replicas count 1. That did not work. Okay, I should have probably checked that right away, and I didn't because I was rushing. So that didn't work. So now we have to see if these volumes are still degraded or not. So I'm going to do a command kubectl get volumes in the Longhorn system and see. Okay, and look at that. Now they're healthy. Okay, very interesting. So what has to be checked here is sometimes values change. So you have a Helm chart, right? And the people who create the software create the Helm chart. Sometimes they'll change the volume names. So it's very tempting to go and Google, or now even use AI, and just get something and put it in there because that was what worked before. If they've made a change though, guess what? You might have found somebody who did this like 5 months ago and they changed it. Or AI, the model might have been created a long time ago. And so unless you tell it to go and search on the web, you won't get it. So either way, these are now healthy. Now I wonder if that might have been a side issue, but probably wasn't. Let's just see what's happening now with our upload. It might have timed out by now. Okay, it timed out, so let's try that again. And look at that right away. Okay, so right away it's working. So I went through all that pain, but it was worth it. It was worth it because I figured it out. And the problem here was that I made a change to the values file, expecting it to have, clicked in, and I didn't check Longhorn. I should have checked Longhorn and seen, because there is in the Longhorn UI, by the way, which we checked when we installed Longhorn, you can actually see the setting for replicas. So when it comes time to doing the documentation at the end, because you're going to watch all these videos, I will redo the documentation. I will make certain that I give you a values file that works. Anyways, we've uploaded, so we're all set. See? You get that little line and it's uploaded. I'm happy. Let's double check. Let's clean our screen, and do a K get PVC, persistent volume claim, where in the VM's namespace, and okay, get. K get. No, not K get. I'm in a festive mood because it's Christmas Eve. And we are happy. Look at that. Lubuntu, that's bound. That's our ISO. Okay, so the next part should be simple. Knock wood. We're going to create the VM. So that was the toughest part for a reason that I didn't expect, but you know, it happens. Okay, so this is my VM YAML, and I'll just show you that. So Lubuntu, and all of these will be in the final post with all documentation. Don't worry. So even if you're following along, in fact, in a way, it's good to follow along with these videos. Just watch and not do anything yet, because I tend to find myself sometimes when I'm doing courses on Udemy, doing it at the same time. And so my brain isn't focusing. I'm kind of copying and pasting and typing, and I'm not really understanding. So watching this, just, you know, watching for pleasure purposes, if this is what you find pleasure, I'm looking at YAML files, is better, and then hitting the actual terminal and setting this all up. Let's explain this. Very simple. Kubevirt, the kind is a virtual machine. Okay, so that wouldn't be there. Okay, if we hadn't installed the operators. Remember we talked about operators. If I'd done a k get VMs or virtual machine, and the CRDs weren't there, the custom resource definitions, it wouldn't know what this is. But now it does. Okay. The name's Lubuntu VM. I'm installing it in the VM's namespace. And then there's some general stuff in here, which important to you, if you're new, to know only in this case, is that we need to boot from the CD-ROM. That's an ISO, so I've placed it here. I've called it CD-ROM ISO. That's the volume name. So there's the volume name, right? And it's the data volume named Lubuntu. Remember I told you this, we're calling this Lubuntu when we uploaded it? There it is. And that's CD-ROM ISO, okay? CD-ROM, it's a CD-ROM type, SATA. Now, one thing I've changed here, because this is obviously after, I copied this after I'd installed, boot order 2, okay? Well, that's not what I want. I need this to boot first, the first time install. So I'm gonna change that. And then here's my hard drive it's gonna create. It's gonna create a PVC hard drive for the VM, for the operating system in there. And it's just a Virtuo, you might know that from KVM, that type, fine. Okay, resources, 2 gigabytes, CPU, that's just the VM resources, okay? And there's the data volume. Remember, this is the CDI that we uploaded, okay? All right, fine. All right, so what do I need to do? I need to change that. So let's go and change that right away. Very simple change here. And then I'll have to change it after I've actually created it. And then when I want to boot it the first time, because I'll need to boot from the hard drive. But right now, I'm going to boot from the CD-ROM. Okay, we're ready to go. Let's hope and pray. Press apply. Press F. I am recording, aren't I? Because this would have been fun if I hadn't pressed record. And it's Lubuntu VM YAML. Okay, it looks good. Now, there is something that's deprecated there. We'll remove that. It's one of the specs. Run strategy is the new one. Okay, fine. That's fine. Now let's do kget VMs, okay, in the VM namespace, VMs. Provisioning. Okay, that looks promising. Now, it can get stuck there too, by the way, so don't get your hopes too high in the sky quite yet. Shouldn't take too... There we go. So that's good. So it's stopped. Wonderful. It's provisioning, but it's stopped now. Fantastic. Okay, so let's go to Kubevirt. Okay, you want to go to Kubevirt? I want to go to Kubevirt. There's nothing there. Well, yeah, you have to refresh it, Jeff. Boom. We have a VM. We have a VM. And I'll show you some things we can do here. However, we want to change, before we boot this and install our operating system, we need to change that boot order. Otherwise, we're just going to boot... Oh, that'll be after we install. I'm sorry, we have to install first. Jeff, you're running ahead of yourself. So what am I going to do next? I want to start the VM. And it's very easy. Let's do virtctl, okay? Start where in the VM's namespace. And what's the name of it? Lubuntu-VM, okay? Off we go. Lubuntu VM was scheduled to start. This is the way this works. Okay, so now we'll go back to get VMs and we'll see starting. Now I can get stuck here too. I was doing an install a couple weeks ago for demos and it got stuck. It's not very, but look, this is running right away, so I take it back. I say that so I don't jinx it, because if I say it starts right away, it won't. Now, what's also interesting, if we do a kget VMI, VM instance, oh, a new thing. So that also isn't in there by default. We do that. We have it. Look at that. It's got an IP. It's running. Fantastic. Now we want to install the VM. Now, you can do console, okay? But it's easier, I think, for you just to go in this way. And we're going to refresh, and you'll see this green now. Green, right? I told you so. And you go to Actions, and you have a little console here. And this will bring up VNC. And look at that. Did you see that? I saw that. And it obviously did the countdown. I was talking too long, and it's already asking us what we want to do. And we're going to install Ubuntu. So this is just the normal, thing that you do when you install. But we're doing it in Kubernetes. Okay? Pretty cool. We're going to do a normal install. We're going to erase the disk. It's an empty disk anyways. And next. Okay, name, we're going to call it, I don't know. We'll call it Ubuntu. No, we'll call it something silly. Let's call it, well, this is the VM. Let's call it Ubuntu. Ubuntu. Okay. I'm going to have it all log in automatically without a password, okay? You have to put one in anyways. Okay. Because this is just for demo purposes. All right, didn't like that. I must have typed, okay, let's try that again. One second. Okay, and I'll retype. Happy. Okay, let's go next. Off it goes. Yes, install. Thank you very much. And it will install. Now, depending on how many resources you've given your system, this will take various amounts of time. But as I said, this is a very lightweight distribution, so it shouldn't take too terribly long. We'll just wait for it now. All right, we are all done, as you can see. Again, I'm going to have to change that boot order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press done, but I'm not going to restart quite yet. And then I'm going to head over here and press done. Okay. And I will stop the VM. So there's a desktop there and everything, but we want to stop the VM. So let's just get out of here. 1 second. We will now go back to this. And all we're going to do is go back here. And instead of start, we're going to stop the VM. Okay. Scheduled to stop. We can then do get VMs. And we can see it stopping. It'll take a few minutes or a few seconds. Shouldn't take too terribly long. Let's make sure we just close that window. Oops, wrong location. What was I looking for there? That was the firewall search I was doing. Okay, I'm just going to close this window too as it leaves site. Thank you very much. And we'll refresh here. This should go, there we go. It's gone red, which means it has stopped. Okay, stopped. Excellent. So now we want to edit the VM. We can do it here. So kEdit in the VMs, VM, okay, and we've only got one. And there's our YAML file. Well, that's the actual running VM. And so this is a very simple thing to do. All we're going to do is change the boot order. You could remove the CD-ROM if you wanted to. I just want to, for fun, change the boot order to prove that this works. So that was the CD-ROM, and there is the hard drive. So let's just change that. Okay, and now we're going to go back and start the VM. See what happens. Okay, get VMs in the VM namespace. Don't forget to do that. Starting. Okay, starting. Again, it's booting up, and it's running. All right, so now comes the moment of truth. We'll refresh this. It should be green. Thank you very much. We'll go to the console, and look at that. It is running. I'm assuming not from the CD-ROM because I made the OS #1, not the CD-ROM. We should find out in a second. The mouse is moving. And look at that. Remember, I did say log in without using a password just for the fun of it. So we're all set. We have a VM, folks. There you go. And let's just go into Firefox and see a lot of updates available. We'll do that in a second. I just want to prove that this works. So let's go to Google here. That's Google, folks. That's Google. We have a VM inside Kubernetes, and it's working, and it can talk to the outside world. So that wasn't too painful, was it? No. Okay. So I can leave that running. I can do whatever I want. You can see it in Kubevirt here. There's other things you can do here, but this is the basic install. And the next thing we're going to do, as you can imagine, is install Kasten. We're going to install Kasten, and we're going to back this up. So that was a lot of fun. couple of bumps in the road, but we learned something. If it works smoothly, it's never any fun. You don't learn anything, right? Right. We will see you tomorrow. Christmas Day, I'm going to try to bring one out on Christmas Day. It might not be too long. Actually, what a great Christmas present, installing Kasten. I think that fits. All right. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.